Oh, I don't know where to start. Many years ago, when I was a little lad, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago it is now, I was working, I was going to the gym, very fit, always on my toes, running, you name it, I did it. I was, Mr. Keep Fit. I went into work one day, I had a meeting, I think it was about 12 o'clock. I come out about 1 o'clock, went back to work about 3 or 4 o'clock. And I didn't feel right. There was something wrong, weren't sure what it was. I told my boss. And then all of a sudden, I sort of fell backwards. Couldn't breathe. I was carted off to hospital. Wasn't the best feeling in the world. They thought I'd had a heart attack, which was amazing because a lot of people say I don't have a heart. But I was let out of hospital after they said, you just had an asthma attack, nothing major. A couple of days later, I was still struggling to breathe, which is not like me. I have had asthma attacks in the past and have never affected me for more than 24 hours after the event. And there was something majorly wrong. I was back in hospital again. They kept me in overnight, sent me home, asthma attack again. Couldn't breathe, struggling, couldn't get up the stairs. I was sleeping on my settee. It was scary because if I can't get up my own stairs, obviously I was 36, 37 at the time. I'm 43 now. So getting up my own stairs, I shouldn't have a problem. And then I ended up going back into hospital. I stayed at my mother's actually for a couple of days because she didn't have so many stairs. My partner at the time, she called me up to hospital saying, I'm sorry, but if you can't, you can't breathe, you're struggling. So taken into hospital, I was in for a month. I was on 80% oxygen. I kept saying I've got a blockage. I knew I could feel where the problem was. It was in my throat. And I was dismissed every single time. The doctor weren't listening to me, which is not right. I know my body. I know what I'm capable of. I know my own age. I know I shouldn't be in the conditions, the condition I was actually in at the time. I do apologise. I've got my dog with me. He's come up to be nosy. So anyway, so I was in. They were doing all kinds of tests. They thought I had cancer. Bit of a shock, but it's manageable. My partner at the time, she had breast cancer. I saw through it. I'm the type of person that'll listen head on. I won't take no for an answer. Come back negative, no cancer in my body. Then they kept doing tests, and all this time I was on oxygen. I could barely move. I couldn't walk to the toilet. I had to have an oxygen tank wherever I went. I had my own cubicle. I couldn't get out. I didn't see anyone. He said, we're going to do an AIDS test. That was a shock. That was a shock and a half because I've only really, I've never been into drugs and never, slept around. HIV is something, it's somebody else. It's not yourself. It's always somebody else. And I'm glad that came back negative, to be honest, because that was a shock. Eventually, they let me out after a month, 2 days before my son's birthday. And they sent me home with a carry bag full of steroids. And that were it. And I couldn't walk, couldn't move. If I go upstairs, I could spend 20 hours a day asleep. I get up for 4 hours, but I still fall asleep on settee. It wasn't right. My ex-partner, she come with me to all my appointments. The doctor, still dismissive. I kept saying, it's in my throat. I know there's a problem in my throat. Still not listening. He knows best. Nobody knows best. People know in the profession of doctors, yes, bodies better, but you should really listen when it's your own body. Eventually, we got fed up with the doctor, stroke consultant, or I think he was. We went to Liverpool Heart and Chest Clinic thinking, well, it's got to be something to do with my heart, something to do with my chest because it's breathing. Lovely doctor, fantastic bloke. No issues with him. He tried his best, couldn't find anything. I was wired up constantly. Everyone was thinking it was my heart. Again, we're all amazed because I didn't realise I had one. And I was there, I was under Liverpool Heart and Chest or Broad Green is the official title. I was there for about 18 months. And eventually he said, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm going to send you to this particular doctor called Dr. Vyas. Nobody's ever met him. Fantastic bloke. Eventually got to see him, I think it was a February. Rain coming down sideways. We were in a industrial estate, I think it was. At the time, it was like brand new offices. And he leant back in his chair, and there was something about him, and it's always made me smile. He leant back in his chair, and he just went, we're going to shove a camera up your nose. As simple as that. And I was a bit taken back because I've never had it done. Will I have it done again? Yes, I would. Because the person who did it, I've got to say, she's put me at ease. It was Claire. And it's something about the way she did it. She said, don't hit me if it hurts. I've never hit a woman in my life. And as Claire will testify, I never hit her. Actually, I thought I enjoyed it because it was so interesting to see a predator in your own throat. And I always call it a predator because to me, that's what it always looks like. And she had me not singing, but I don't think I was far off, doing countdowns. I've got to say, I was amazed. Somebody actually listened. It makes me smile because it's the first time ever I found a human, not a book or a computer, because that's how I felt like they were to me. There was no human side, there was no listening. And to find out what it was, Claire just turned around, she says, we know what it is. Went back into Dr. Vyas. He said, we'll sort you now. Give me some breathing exercises. The following day, I was able to do something I hadn't been able to do for about 3.5 years. I was able to run. And I think I even text Claire, or I might have phoned, I can't remember how I did it. It was via Twitter. I stalked her, found her, because I was so over the moon of what had happened. And I was able to run up to Ruley Lake, which is a lake in Burnley, and it's about 4 miles round trip. And I was able to do it. I was very overweight because all I've been doing is been taking steroids. I've got them here. Don't use them, or very rarely use them, I've got to say. And they actually did something I'll always be grateful for. And I always say, they saved me, give me my life back. In the time nobody was listening, I was grumpy, I was fed up, I lost my partner because I wasn't the same happy-go-lucky, daft as a brush person I can be, and my kids missed that. Now I'm able to breathe, able to do a lot more things than whatever I could. Sometimes it comes back, but I know how to deal with it. And I am so grateful. It's not the first time I've done a chat like this. Last one was in person. It's a shame I'm not there, but obviously, COVID, it's a bad thing, and I'm glad we're all safe listening to this. But there's something about Dr. Vyas and Claire, not Dr. Slinger, play that I'll always be grateful for, because I can do so much. And I know I repeat myself, but it's something you'll always be grateful for. If you if you lose the ability to breathe, you lose the ability to function. It's not everyone's rubbish at, we've all got things we're not good at. The one thing you don't want to be good at is not breathing. You want to be able to breathe. You want to be able to function. You want to be able to have fun. I can do all that now. So I am so much indebted to the Airways team at Preston. My daughter, she's under Manchester Royal for investigation for the same thing. And the one good thing is, my daughter can look at me and say, "Yeah, you've got it. You can deal with it, Dad." She has a problem. I give her my exercises. They help her. She's just turned 12, going on 21. But because I've got experience, it helps her, and I don't mind helping people. If they struggle to breathe, I'm there. If there's, it might just be need some salbutamol. They might need to be able to calm down, because you've got to learn to cope, and I can cope.
Iain, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a really powerful story, and I know it's difficult. It's much better to do it in person, but you've done an absolutely fantastic job there, and it's just really clear how impactful ILO was on you, and you were a star patient because you did your exercises. I didn't have to moan at you.
No. Well, that makes a change, because most women do moan at me.
And you've had it confirmed twice, 2 different occasions, that you have a heart. So,
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, I was amazed with that one.
Lovely. So I'm going to go to see, Sarah's going to reveal the questions from the audience now, if that's all right, Iain. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
I hope you're ready, Iain, because that was one powerful
presentation
speech. Honestly, there's some amazing questions. Yeah,
honestly, it's brilliant. Right, I'm going to need a brew after this. What do you feel was the biggest impact on your life?
Before or while I had it?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking maybe, maybe.
The shock.
Yeah.
I was at 12 o'clock, I was in a meeting. In the morning, I was actually at the gym. Went for my meeting, I was fine. I went upstairs, I could get up the stairs, no problem, without even batting an eyelid. 2 hours later, I couldn't breathe at all. That was an absolute massive shock. And not being able to do things with my kids that I want to do. I struggled even making a brew, to be honest. And people say, yeah, right, whatever. But it's true. I couldn't even get to the kitchen to make a brew. I would out of breath, that much out of breath. So, yeah.
Thank you. So did it feel like asthma when you were struggling with that, Iain? Did it feel like it was an asthma, or did you know?
No, to be honest, I used my inhaler and it wasn't working. So I knew it wasn't asthma. And it's where, because if you say asthma, I can feel my chest really tight. My chest always felt loose. It was always up here. It was always up here. I could tell there was an issue, but obviously I hadn't a clue what it was. But no, it didn't feel like asthma at all. I'm not sure if anyone else is different, but no, I knew it wasn't asthma. That was my main thing.
I think you're right. I think quite a few patients do say, I knew it wasn't asthma. I knew it was something different. I wasn't, I didn't feel like it was kind of sinking in with whoever I was speaking to. So, with that in mind, how did you feel and cope, knowing that you weren't necessarily felt like you were being listened to when you were saying those things?
I'm not an angry person. I don't raise my voice often. I've got to say, I was frustrated. It was I felt very. It was dark times in my head because nobody were listening. It was very frustrating. I couldn't shout, not that I wanted to. The doctor, we ended up falling out in the end. I'm not going to mention his name, but I would pass him on the street. I wouldn't say anything. I'd pass him on the street, wouldn't give him a second look, because he just, unfortunately, to me, as a doctor, he failed because he took the human side of his job away from from me. I was just a piece of meat and a bone with a mask on, unable to breathe. He didn't listen, and it was a shame, really, because I think that could have been cured a lot earlier. If it wasn't by him, he should have come to yourself straight away.
It's difficult, isn't it? I think awareness is one of our main barriers to getting people seen early. I think on average, it's 9 years before people get referred to a specialist centre, and that needs to change. Yeah.
It does. There's a Facebook page being set up by a woman in Manchester, and we speak regular. She really suffers. I'd say she suffers more than me. And she's in the same boat. She couldn't believe it with 9 years. I think it's crazy. That the easiest thing to do is give one of these and all that. When in reality, speak to the person that's in front of you, and you might get further. You might find out it's something else. So.
Sorry, my girls have just come home, so my dog's gone crazy, so you might hear a bit of barking in the background.
I've got your dog. I've got mine at my feet. He's doing me in.
Iain, there's lots of love for your story here, so lots of positive comments. I'll just read a couple out. So just want to say hooray to you and thanks for sharing. So that's from one of the members. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story. As a speech and language therapist working with people with ILO, this is really moving. And even I was sharing your story, I felt really moved as well, Iain, because it's so, no matter how many times I've heard it, it's just so powerful. And we know that your story isn't unique, unfortunately, and we do need to change that. So
I know it's a shame, really.
Yeah. So how can we raise an awareness of ILO, Iain? What can we do?
I think it's to be honest. I think it starts possibly with the GPs. To be honest, they need to be, or the young doctors that are coming through, they need to be aware that there is something other than asthma around. I think it's a case of start at the beginning with new past doctors. The GPs, they need to be aware that there is something. My doctors, they're aware, which is great, because obviously I've been diagnosed. They've got all the information. They was actually quite interested in it, to be honest. I didn't get any negativity from them. So I think it's either the GPs or the young doctors coming through. And try, and then once you get one person, you're going to get two.
It's a snowball, isn't it? Like you say, when our patients go back to the primary care, then hopefully the GP will be like, oh, what's this? And then read up on it and stuff. Yeah. We have got another patient who's doing some healthcare conversations facilitated by Olympus. So again, that's going to go out on social media. So I think it's, whatever we can. So word of mouth, patient, we need to get the research out there to kind of bolster our message as well. But it still needs, it's not a new condition. It's been around, it's been recognised since 1842. We need to do something.
Asthma is that whoever come up with the term asthma and come up with the medication for asthma, to be honest, it was good at the time. I do understand it. You can't knock it. People do have asthma, but asthma is it's not everything to do with your airwaves. There is other things that cause issues. Asthma should never be under. This ILO or VCD should never be under the bracket of asthma. Asthma is in your lungs. VCD, ILO, it's your airwaves.
That's a fundamental question, is it? And I think it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it overlaps, so it's a laryngeal problem, but it causes breathing difficulties, and it goes along with asthma. So I think you're right. There's a lot of work that we need to do on sort of teasing out and sort of making sure in the right corners that everybody knows about it. So Iain, are you all right for a couple more questions?
Of course I am. Yeah.
What reactions have you had to your diagnosis? You mentioned your GP was interested in it. Have you had any other reactions that strike you when you've gone home and spoken to your family or any other professionals that you've come across?
Relief in my family, I've got to say, because I was on the prayer list for a long time. My son, we've always been close, and when I was ill, he didn't like it. To be fair, he didn't like it. I didn't like it, to be honest. And now I can breathe. Now I can do a lot more. We do a lot more together. We're very close again. So for me, I'm relieved. He's over the moon with that. It's family, mental health wise. I know there's a lot of stories about mental health. My mental health suffered till I found out what it was, and I think everybody else, my family, went through worry. So we found it was, what's that? ILO. I think Google it. You'll be interested, and that's what I say to people as well. Google it. So
thank you. So again, thank you. This is a message from the audience. Thank you very much for a very heartfelt and powerful story. Did you ever find out what triggered your ILO in the first place?
No, we didn't. I wish I knew, because, well, no, actually, I don't wish I know. I'm glad I've had it, to be honest, because at the end of the day, if I didn't persevere, it was just, it's asthma. And I could, that was it. To know what I have, I can deal with it. To not know what I had, what I was told I had, asthma. Crazy. There needs to be a name on it. You want to know what's wrong with you. You don't want to be told it's just asthma. You're just being belittled. To know what I've got, it's great. I wear it with, not like a badge of honour, but I wear it on, I carry it around happily in my pocket, knowing I know what it is. If I struggle to breathe, stand back, let me deal with it. If I can't deal with it, get me an ambulance. And just send me straight off to Preston. I'll be all right then. So, but yeah, I'm happy knowing what I've got. I wasn't happy before.
Well, fingers crossed it won't come to being ambulanced over to Preston again, but we'll sort you out if you do come over. I had a question then, it's gone out of my head, sorry. Right, so what did it mean to you to get a diagnosis of ILO?
Oh, great. Fantastic. It was superb. I went home that day from Preston after having the camera up my nose. Happy. Laughing, in fact. The following day I went for a run because I knew what I could do. And I knew I could do it again. Go for a run.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. It's the only diagnosis that, one of the diagnoses that people are actually happy to receive, and people are like, oh my goodness. And,
it's one of them. You think to yourself, that it? Whereas I was going for an inhaler one a week because I couldn't breathe. And my doctors thought I was selling them on the black market or whatever you call it. It's like, really? I just can't breathe at all. And to be told what it was, I was happy. Because again, you put a name on what it was that was causing me a problem. So,
this relates to this next question here. What went through your head after you got your diagnosis of ILO?
Fantastic. It really was. Can't say any more than that. Because at the end of the day, one thing I knew I weren't going to do was die, because I knew it could be cured, and in such a simple way.
Thank you, Iain. Honestly, there's so much love coming through on the comments and questions for you. So, Iain, a moving story, and thank you for sharing. How do you imagine your life being now if you hadn't been referred to Dr. Vyas? This is quite a deep question. So, are you all right with that?
Bleak. because I was so mentally, my mental health was suffering. I lost a lot of friends because of it, because I couldn't function. I lost my partner because I couldn't function. Go on, we need to go and do this. We need to go there. We need to do this. I couldn't get out of bed. Could barely get to I would crawl to the toilet if I needed to. I think bleak would be the answer. Worry, wondering what's, what am I going to be, am I going to wake up, and what state am I going to wake up in? I don't. I'd hate to think where I would be without getting an answer, because it was frustrating that just them 3.5 years, and people, like I said, 9 years waiting, and bearing in mind people will pass away in 9 years still not knowing.
It's heartbreaking, and I think we need to get the awareness out there and get people referred. People just asking about throat symptoms, and I think that's the one of the main things. All those things that Catherine was going through as well, just asking your patients, and I know your motto, Iain, is listen to your patient. Absolutely.
It is.
Oh, sorry, I've got a thing here. So what would be your message to anyone in a similar situation as you were, feeling not listened to?
Be stubborn. Be positive. And keep banging that drum, because if it's something it's not, they're not even looking in the right area, possibly even ask for a different doctor, or be transferred. But be stubborn and push, and you'll get your answer.
Definitely. So you yourself, Iain, can you tell when it's your asthma and when it's your ILO? Have you got that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can even. I've just had some work done in my bedroom. I've had some plastering work done in my bedroom, and I moved out for a few days because you just looked at the dust and gone, that's my ILO kicking off. Certain deodorants I know cause it. Certain sprays actually cause it. I told my daughter off last year. She used a load of air freshener around the house. I forgot what she was doing, and I had to run around with a mask on in the house, opening up windows, all doors, and as luck would have it, was lovely and warm outside, so I sat outside till the spray had dispersed. So yeah, I know. I not everything I know will cause it, but it's always there in my mind. There's always something that I know will cause it, and I'll try and get round it if I can.
The joy of living with youngsters in the house. It's Lynx for boys, and it's probably Impulse or Charlie is the typical thing for girls. Or
my son's going through. I'm in my son's bedroom now, and he's got Lynx, and he knows he's got to keep it away because he knows I can't have it round me, because that is, I've got to say, that is a major one. But I personally don't like it anyway, so I'm all right.
Yeah. Brilliant. So just a couple more, if that's all right. One person saying thank you for sharing. How could your experience have been improved before getting your diagnosis, and what do you think clinicians need to learn to do better?
Well, for a start, I wish the doctor listened from the off. If he took some advice from me, which he didn't, I wouldn't have taken 3.5 years to find out what the problem was. If he was out of his remit, why did he keep carrying on? I always think, I must admit, I always think that. I think he might have been a bit stubborn himself. But in reality, there's probably nothing much I would change, because I think he did. He sent me to Women's Show. To be fair, after but when I got there, it was cancelled. So that, and then I moved myself over to Liverpool because he just wasn't listening. But change anything? Possibly not, because to get to Preston, yes, I had to go via Liverpool. No, I wouldn't change it. I'm happy. I'm happy knowing now what I knew. Yes, I went through 3.5 years of hell, not knowing, but I've come out of it.
Yeah, you're doing amazing. Last one. So this is probably as much for me as for you. Did anyone ever feedback to the original team so that they can learn about ILO? So I'll do my bit first, and then you do your bit. I don't know whether you saw your original team again. So we always do a report back to the referring team, just so that they make sure that they're.
I mean, for Dr. Vyas, I did a article in a newspaper for you. I spoke to the Preston Hospital at Chorley. That's the management team. You
spoke to our exec team, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I've got to say, I smile at the thought of that one, because I remember all the reporters tapping away. I think they were reporters. They stopped typing. I was slightly aggressive, but I felt like I was being a little bit belittled then. And I threw my medication across the tables. They didn't like that, but it made a point. Quite dramatic, actually. I should have won an Oscar for that one. And I'll always be grateful for yourselves. I've never had feedback. I've never given feedback to Burnley Hospital. I've never spoken to Dr. Mohan, I think he would call it, Liverpool. Lovely bloke. If I did, I'd certainly high-five him because he sent me on to yourselves. He did listen to a point, but as he said, he was struggling. But he knew where to send me, which was to my benefit. So quite happy with that. There's always things to learn. Every day we learn. So I'm just happy that Preston sorted me out.
Perfect. And as we normally do on these things, any final comments, Iain? Anything else you want, lasting moment that you want people to take away with them from yourself?
Yeah. Just listen to your patients. You might know you might know the human body better than them, but they'll certainly know their body better than you. And if you listen to each other, surely you're going to find the answers quicker than leaving it for 3.5 years or 9 years, as the case of some unlucky people. Yeah, and I'll always be very grateful for Preston, the Airways team at Preston, especially Claire. I'll always help you and Dr. Vyas whenever I'm called upon. You know that there's never an issue, because I'll always think to myself, "You're giving me life back. You saved me," and it's the best way. But it's the highest praise I could probably give anyone, to be honest. And I'm happy to have Claire, not as a doctor, not Dr. Slinger.
No, not a doctor, yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, between you both, you give me something I didn't think I was ever going to get, which is my kids. Having a hug with them again. I'm able to do things with them. So I'm always grateful for you.
Oh, Iain, you've ruined me now. Thank you. Thank you so much, Iain. Just really, really grateful for your time and just being so honest and sharing your story. I'm sure it's touched lots of people out there. So just again, thank you for your time. I'll pull myself together and then I will we'll do a selection.
Can I also just say something? If there's anyone that actually wants to pick my brains a bit more, I hope you don't mind. Claire's got me on Twitter. You can just find me on there. I don't mind helping out with advice or talk to other people about it, because the more people find out and know what it is, and more understanding to the general population of the world, something that we can all, learn by. I think it'd be better. And don't cry on me, Claire.
An emotional day, Iain. But thank you. Oh gosh, right. Oh, right. I'm really, really generous offer there, Iain. Thank you. And just top man. Thank you very much for sharing the story. All right, take care.
You too.